So globally, 25 to 40 million people are estimated to be working under coercive or forced labor conditions across multiple industries. So while most of the reporting was in Southeast Asia and focused in seafood, it's a global problem that has occurred in the United States, the UK, and New Zealand waters, among others. And I was talking with her the other night, but the sustainability director of Thai Union said, companies might say that they'll just source from another country that has no slavery in their supply chains, but I'd like to know what that country is. This is an issue that occurs across the fishing industry worldwide. Of course, not in every single fishery, but we've seen it through the studies that we've done and the white papers that we've put together that you can find on our website, that it is a global problem. So one factor that exacerbates this in seafood is the connection between environmental damage and human rights abuses. There's a lack of transparency and accountability leads to overfishing and habitat destruction. And then this, with an ever-increasing demand for seafood, can cause diminishing stocks. As fish disappear and captains have to go farther and work harder to find fewer fish, pressure mounts on them. And with less fish to go around, the fish companies then cut costs by not paying crew or ensuring safe working conditions. So a lack of enforcement and monitoring, especially on the high seas, allows these destructive and harmful activities to occur. So it's a highly complex issue, as many of you know, in which abuses of people and ocean resources are intertwined. So at FishWise, we learned of these problems early on, and we knew that we had to act. We didn't want slavery in the supply chains of our corporate partners, certainly, and nor did we want these discoveries to unravel all of the environmental work that we've been doing with them. So with the leadership of Conservation International, we joined with experts from 20 organizations and institutions from around the world to collaborate and clearly align and define on what socially responsible seafood means. So it wasn't an easy task, but there are a wealth of resources out there, especially in human rights. And one key question was, how do we go beyond the most egregious human rights abuses and think about other dimensions of well-being? So the Monterey Framework was released in June last year through a Science article and at the United Nations SDG conference, and that was the result of these efforts. So the framework leans on the core ILO conventions, UN guiding principles, and other FAO resources and standards related to human rights, equity, food security, and nutrition. And the framework has gained traction with the Conservation Alliance for Seafood Solutions. See a couple of representatives from the Alliance here, and a group of more than 40 seafood NGOs from around the world. It is also now integrated into the Common Vision for Sustainable Seafood, which is the main framework that we use in engaging with seafood companies globally. And it's also incorporated into the Framework for Social Responsibility, which was created by the world's leading certifications and ratings groups. And over 25 companies, including some of the largest seafood sellers in the world, like our partner Albertsons companies, pledged a commitment to socially responsibility through this framework. And they announced that last year at the UN SDG meeting. So another bright note, earlier this year, 10 of the world's largest seafood companies collaborating through CBOS committed to address modern slavery. And so we hope that they too will embrace the Monterey Framework. So what exactly do all these NGOs and companies support? The framework consists of 3 pillars, and they center on protecting human rights and access to resources, ensuring equity and opportunity to benefit, and improving food and livelihood security. So in order to implement these principles, it requires a diverse group of actors. And they need to work to build adequate capacity and viable management systems. Actions need to be implemented in a culturally respectful and appropriate way. Procedural rights for adequate consultation, engagement, and participation is expected. And finally, intergenerational equity is important. So we're here for a few different reasons. First, we want to support and promote approaches that work. We are the implementing partner of a USAID-funded project called the Seafood Alliance for Legality and Traceability. SALT is a global alliance for learning, exchange, and action, and it's open to everyone. It's designed to identify case studies and best practices for increasing the adoption of electronic catch documentation and traceability, and how they can support human rights, and bring them to a global audience so that participants can learn from each other faster. And like I said, bring that work back into your projects around the world. We're also looking for credible projects that result in seafood products that are environmentally and socially responsible. Then we can promote them with our North American buyer partners with responsible sourcing commitments. So we help close that loop for all the good work that you guys are doing on the ground, create the demand for the products at the end of the day. And then finally, FishWise is creating a new social responsibility roadmap. It's informed by industry and social experts that will launch in March next year at the Seafood Expo North America. And it will be a free online platform with tools and actionable guidance for assessing and improving socially responsible practices in seafood supply chains. It'll help companies implement the Monterey framework that I went through. So together, each of these projects, services, and tools can help empower organizations and companies that want to address the plight of our oceans and people as Bali Seafood International and KPI are doing. So I really look forward to the discussion.
Thanks.